Hey there, Year 9s. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to do some of our examples for solving by elimination. So to start out, my first example, I'm going to solve x minus 2y equals 1. And my second equation is going to be negative x plus 5y equals 2. So a lot of these questions have things pre-lined up for you. My pronumerals or my variables that are x are lined up, my y's are lined up, so that's good. The first thing you always need to think about is you need to look at whichever of the variables you're going to eliminate for. You're going to see if they have the opposite sign or the same sign. So you see here, this is a positive x and this is a negative x. So if the same sign, the sign is the same, you subtract the signs. If signs are opposite, you add. And that is one of the biggest tricks I can tell you with this. So I look at my two pronumerals and I think to myself, are the signs the same or are they different? So here's kind of a way of thinking about it. If I had 3 and I had 3 and I wanted to make them equal to 0, what do I have to do to 3 and 3 to make them to 0? Do I add or do I subtract 3 and 3 to make them 0? Because their sign is the same, I pick subtract, and so we know that 3 minus 3 equals 0. If I had 4 and negative 4, what would I have to do with 4 and negative 4 to make them equal to 0, to eliminate them? Would I need to add them or subtract them? What I would do is their signs are the opposite, so I've got a negative 4 and a positive 4, so their signs are the opposite, so I'm going to add them, and that will make 4 plus negative 4 is going to equal to 0. So that's kind of the thinking behind this idea, and I just thought I'd use numbers to help it make more sense. So here I look at my x's. I see my x's have the opposite signs. I have a positive x and a negative x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two equations. So I draw my sign, my line underneath to show that I'm doing the work. Positive x plus negative x is going to equal to 0. You don't need to write your 0. But I'll just write it for now. It's going to equal to 0. Negative 2 plus 5. So I owe $2 and I earn 5. There's another way of thinking about that. But negative 2 plus 5, you can also check it on your calculator, equals 3y. What is 1 plus 2? 3. Notice I added all my columns. Then what I do is I divide by 3 and divide by 3. These 3's cancel out, and that's why I'm trying to isolate for y. And y equals, what's 3 divided by 3 equal to? It's equal to 1. So I've solved for y. Once you've solved for y, now we're going to substitute our value for y back into either one of our equations. So once you've found one of your two values, you can choose either one of these to substitute back into. Sometimes look to see if it's easier to substitute back into one or the other. Neither of these y's by itself, so it doesn't matter which one you pick. I'm going to substitute back into one. So I'll use equation 1. That's this one right here. So I use equation 1. So I'll say that x minus 2y equals 1. I now substitute my value for y that I found in the previous part of this. X minus 2 bracket my y is equal to 1 equals 1. I then go, I multiply, negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. I add 2 to both sides. And that means x equals 3. So therefore, x equals 3, y equals 1. The other way we could write this would be 3, 1 as our point of intersection. So that would be where our two lines intersect across each other. If we wanted to, we could also perform a check. So you could substitute these two values back into each of our two equations to verify or double check. Alright, B, second example. This is going to be a little bit of a long video because I want to show you a couple different examples of how this works. So we've got 3x minus 2y equals 5, and I've got 5x minus 2y equals 11. So the first thing I'm going to look for is to see if the coefficient or the number in front of either one of my variables is the same. So my y's have both a negative 2 in front of them. So I'm going to eliminate my y this time. Now I'm going to think to myself, are the signs the same or are the signs the opposite? So they're both negative 2's. Because they're both negative 2, that means they are the same, and I'm going to subtract. So that means I'm going to subtract, and you have to subtract each and every step along the way. So what is 3 subtract 5 is what that basically starts out with. So what is 3 subtract 5? I'm just going to draw a line underneath this. What is 3 minus 5? And 3 minus 5, just let me do this. 3 minus 5, just if you are feeling unsure about yourself, negative 2x. And what is 5 minus 11? 5 minus 11 equals negative 6. Hope that makes sense what I've done. Negative 2 subtract negative 2 gives me 0, so I'm not going to write my 0 here, I'm just going to leave that. Now I want to isolate for x, so I'm going to make x the subject, so I divide by negative 2. I divide by negative 2. My negative 2's cancel out. That means x equals negative 6 divided by negative 2 is positive 3. So I found my value for 3. Now I'm going to use equation. Which equation would you like to use? Equation 1 or equation 2? Really, it doesn't make a difference. Either one looks easier. I'll just use equation 1, and I'm going to substitute x equals 3 into equation 1. So that is 3x minus 2y equals 5. I then now substitute in x equals 3. So I go 3 bracket 3 minus 2y equals 5. I know that 3 times 3 is 9 minus 2y equals 5. I now subtract 9 and subtract 9. 5 minus 9 is negative 4. That's what 2y equals. Finally, I divide by negative 2 and divide by negative 2 to get y equals negative 4 divided by negative 2 equals positive 2. So therefore, x equals 3 and y equals 2, or if I were write it as a ordered pair, it would be 3, 2 would be our solution for that one. Okay, so those should have been 2 easy ones. I'm going to show you a little bit of a harder example now. So I get a new page. Notice it's a little bit of a step-by-step work here, so it does take a bit of room. That's why I'm using the dock camera this time and not my phone to make the video, because it's so painful to write on that small screen. So I'm making it this way. Alright, sorry if this is a little bit of a long video. So next one, we have 5x plus 2y equals negative 7. That's equation 1. And then we have equation 2 being x plus 7y equals 25. So in this scenario, I have not given you any of our terms with a matching coefficient. So none of them have a matching coefficient. So what you're going to do is you're going to make the match. You're going to pick one of your equations and multiply the whole equation by a number to make them equal or the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this equation, I'm going to pick x and I'm going to make x match. So to make x match, I'm going to multiply this whole equation by 5 to make it match, because I'm going to be able to eliminate for x that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this whole equation, I'll take x plus 7y equals 25. I'm going to multiply the whole thing times 5. So I'm going to basically take this whole equation right here and multiply by 5. I'm going to take it and multiply by 5. So equation 2 now becomes, so this is still equation 2, now is 5x, because 5 times x, plus what's 5 times 7. That gives me 35y. And I need to multiply 25 by 5, and I believe that is 125, but let me just check. 5 times 25 is perfect. 125. So that's equation 2 still. We've just increased it, whole thing, by 5. So now we're ready to take equation 1 and equation 2 and solve by elimination. So I'm going to rewrite them. We got 5x plus 2y equals negative 7. That's still equation 1. And our increased equation 2 is 5x plus 35y equals 125. So my 5x's match. Their sign is the same, so that means I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to subtract both. I'm going to subtract the equations. So 5 minus 5 is 0. 2 minus 35 next. So I'm going to go 2 minus 35, and that gets me negative 33y, and then I'm going to do negative 7 minus 125 to get negative 132. So far so good. Next I divide by negative 33, divide by negative 33, these negative 33's cancel out, and y equals 132 divided by 33. Please be a whole number. Oh, yes, it's 4. And remember, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So we now have our y value. Now we're going to take our y value and substitute it back into either one of our equations. I'll just substitute it back into 1 just to be consistent. So I'll use equation 1. And I'll substitute this. So equation 1 was 5x plus 2y equals negative 7. I now substitute that in. 5x plus 2 times 4 equals negative 7. 5x, 2 times 4 plus 8 equals negative 7. I subtract 8 and subtract 8. 5x equals negative 7 minus 8 is negative 15. Divide by 5. Divide by 5. And x equals negative 3. Negative divided by positive is a negative. Perfect. Therefore, x equals negative 3 and y equals 4. If I read it as an ordered pair, it would be negative 3, comma 4. X value first, y value second. I might show one more just to kind of get it set up, and then I'll cut myself short because I see that's a 13-minute marathon of awesome right now. So for D, I'm just going to talk about setting it up, and then I'll leave it there and they get going. I'm sure you're getting the idea by now. Equals 18. I'll just move this up so you can see it. I'm also running out of room on my page. 3x minus 2y equals 5. So again, we have no matching coefficients in front of our pronumerals, so it's not like we can really do this. The other hard part too is I can't multiply 3 by any number to get to 2, or 2 by number to get to 3. I can't multiply 3 by any number to get to 4, or 4 by any number to get to 3. So what we can do is we could think about a common number. So for example, I could make both of these y values 6, right? So how can we do that? Well, I could multiply this whole equation. I could multiply it by 2. I take this whole equation and multiply it by 3. So 2 times 4. So this is equation 1. This is equation 2. Equation 1 becomes 2 times 4 is 8x. 2 times 3 is plus 6y. 2 times 18 is 36, I believe. I like to check just because I make silly math errors. It's 36. Perfect. Equation 2 becomes 3 times 3 is 9x. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6y. 3 times 5 is 15. Alright, now I'm ready to solve by elimination. I have my terms I'm going to isolate for or eliminate. I look at the signs. Are the signs the same or are they opposite? they're opposite sides, then I'm going to add the two equations together, and I'm ready to keep going. And I'm sure from here you know what to do. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope you're all doing well. Take care of yourselves. See you later.